This man excelled in multiple sports during his youth, including rugby, cricket, football, as well as athletics. He also attended Stellenbosch University, where his tuition fees were paid for by a farmer who recognized his rugby talent. Here, this man went on to become part of South Africa's squad for the 2003 as well as the 2007 Rugby World Cups. He made his test debut for the Springboks on June 12, 1999. Guess against who? Against Italy. And he scored not one, not two, but a hat-trick of tries. Breyton Paulse, my second, my brother from another mother, good evening and welcome to Power Sport Extra with BBK.
BBK, my man, what an entrance. Thank you so much for having me, and so excited for tomorrow. As you mentioned, I made my debut against Italy many, many moons ago.
Yeah.
And tomorrow, we face the Azzurri again.
Most definitely, we're facing the Azzurri again, Breyton. It is game number 17, right? The other 16 with only one win for Italy. That win, 20 to 18 points. It is, I've been saying this, it is a blot on the illustrious, glorious book of the Springboks. Is there any chance at all that the Azzurri may spring another surprise?
Unfortunately not, BBK. As you know, the Springbok squad at the moment is one of confidence, one of a lot of depth, and one of who really emphasis playing, for the greater cause.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you look at the elder statesmen, the guys like the Siya Kolisis, like Eben Itzebeth, Lode Jager coming back, guys like Jason Colby, Kurtley Arendse on the wings, Jesse Creel, Andre Pollard coming back. We, in every position these days, we have 4 or 5 top quality players to pick from. And Rassie Erasmus and his team, they've created this wonderful sort of healthy competition within the squad where players come in an environment and they all immediately excel. So for me, I just can't see where Italy can be competitive with us. Yes, in the first 20, 30 minutes, they will be throwing a couple of darts at us.
Yeah.
But our system is so good at the moment that, I'm going to tell you and the listeners that we're going to beat them at least minimum 30 points.
Minimum 30 points, even though you saw them winning in their game against Namibia at the weekend, you think that is not going to count for anything?
No, unfortunately not. They will come in with a lot of confidence because, a lot of their players now play in the URC, where they compete against our players a lot. But, when it comes to the Springbok team, our beloved Springbok team, it's a different animal altogether. When that Springbok go out, it's an angry animal, and it runs fast, and it scores a lot of tries, and they're very bullish as well up front,
Yeah.
And, I mean, obviously, the team at the moment take a lot of pride in what they do and how they go about their business. And it's such a professional setup at the moment. If you take a guy like Andre Pollard, or for instance, you get a Sasha Feinberg and Gomozulu, and then you have a Mani Libbok. I mean, you have Makazole Mapimpi. If Kurtley doesn't play or Chesan doesn't play, you have Keenan Moody. The list goes on and on and on. So the depth we had at the moment is incredible. And this is Vision 2027, where Rassie Erasmus are creating a lot of depth, a lot of healthy competition within the squad. And I tell you, man, you can watch all these wonderful images, or on your World of Champions, because, SuperSport have been bringing these wonderful images, whether it was good or bad, the last 30 years. And this year, we're also celebrating the Springbok, 30 years of freedom for our wonderful Rainbow Nation. And, SuperSport as well. They have a lot of programs every day of the week where viewers can get involved. I mean, the other day I needed to pick a hooker. For instance, there's a dream team that the guys are doing at the moment. It's on 7:00 Monday evenings with Layla and Bogues, and they pick 5 players, and you can get involved in picking your favorite player. And I tell you what, towards week 15, it will be amazing when we see what the viewers have picked in terms of who are their favorite players and in what generation. I think for the older viewers, when it comes to the wings, they must please pick me, KTV, because I got no chance against Jason Colby, for instance, But, that is the nature of the beast. But we have to thank SuperSport as well for over the years, I mean, the '95 World Cup, who will ever forget that moment? I mean, it was just amazing.
I'm in conversation with Breyton Paulse, the former wing wizard of the Springboks, and you are welcome to join in this conversation as we are looking at what to expect when it matches between the Springboks and Italy. The line is 0861 987 000. Breyton, I'm going to tell you about a player who's on form now, speaking about scoring tries.
Yeah.
Vincent Chituka is getting his debut. You're talking about increasing the depth, making the circle bigger.
Yeah.
He had a double when we played in that exhibition against the Barbers.
Yeah.
You had your own one, a hat-trick on debut.
Yes.
Do you see Vincent equaling yours or even surpassing if you say that we're going to be beating Italy by even a 30-point margin?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously difficult to say, which are going to be the try scorers, but we got such a good balance between the backs and the forwards where when we start mauling, it will be difficult for the Italy forwards to kind of stop us. And that's where a guy like Malcolm Marx and Bongi Mbonambe, they have scored so many tries from the rolling maul.
Yes.
And the maul is a dangerous but very effective weapon for the Springboks. So Vincent Chituka as well, speaking about Vincent, I was so happy for him. I saw him this week in Joburg, and just his story, when he came to South Africa, he was 4 years old.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it is just a beautiful story where people can take a bit of heart off. Sometimes in life, it's not just about sport and about reaching that level. And I'm always interested in how people reach a certain level. And I tell you, for people who have time and can go and Google or whatever the case may be, go and look up Vincent's story. It's one of a beautiful story where this guy had to face many battles. He had to even wait long for his citizenship, for instance.
Yeah.
He could have been a book long time ago, but when he got that opportunity, despite all the setbacks he had, he was ready. And I think people, in life, we don't always get opportunities, but when you do get an opportunity once or twice, always try and use it. And that's why I'm so proud and happy for a guy like Vincent Chituka. And I tell you what, because Peter Steph de Toey is not fully fit yet, he is filling that role at the moment tremendously. I mean, he scored one game and he was close to win the match. Between Vincent Chituka, Cheston Colby, and Louis de Jager last week, it could have been any of those three. You know what I mean?
Most
and
definitely.
That's the level that Vincent played last week. Physical, abrasive, very, very effective in the line-out as well. And also, he's just a good lad. He's just a man who fits into the Springbok culture and DNA. Because let me tell you one thing, Rassie doesn't pick a profile who doesn't fit into the Springbok culture. You can play as well as you can, but if you don't stick to the team principles and dynamics, and you're not fitting into a environment where people uplift each other, he won't pick you. He won't pick you. And that's why Vincent is that kind of guy. He will go to war with this team.
A lot of interesting stories are playing out in this team, Breyton.
Yes.
When you also look at the brothers, you've seen quite a lot of pairs of brothers who have played for the Springboks alongside each other, the latest being the Hendrikse Bruce. But tomorrow it will be the turn of the Visses. Jasper Visse, let's start with that man who's making a return to the team himself.
Yeah, Jasper Visser, he was out, unfortunately, for 3 months. He had a bit of an injury, and it's so good to see him back. And that's the good thing about the Springbok team as well. If you have one niggle like our wonderful, inspirational captain, Siya Kolisi, he probably can play tomorrow, but he's got a bit of a niggle. Yeah. The medical team or Rassie, they won't play people who have a niggle because we have the depth, and also it gives other player an opportunity to stake his claim in the team. So Jasper Visser, they call him the Kalahari Express.
Indeed.
He's not and let me tell you, there's nothing about he's not fast, but he only knows one way, and that is forward. His physical, attributes into the game is one of the Springbok DNA, if you like, because he brings this physicality. Yeah. On defense is really good. He likes to take up the ball, and he's just a guy who likes to bully people. And when you speak to that man off the field, okay, he is such like a soft-spoken guy and so well-reserved. It's almost like the contrast when you see him on TV and hurting people. And I'm like, no, man, this can't be right.
Yeah.
But it tells you when that guy put on that Springbok jersey, he's a different animal. And it's just amazing how Rassie get these boys fired up when it matters the most. And Jasper Visser, he is the kindest man of the field. But on the field, like Ibn Etzebeth, those guys are ruthless,
But Breyton, there's also the small matter of Kobus, his brother, who's enjoyed a great season with the Bulls. What do you expect to see from him tomorrow?
Yeah, no, Kobus, obviously Kobus, he's a guy who's come in leaps and bounds. He had to go overseas as well to almost tell the coaches that he still wants to be a Springbok. And it's amazing how when players they reach sort of the ceiling here in South Africa, they go overseas, like a Jason Colby. When Jason left for France, they said he was too small. Mm-hmm. And he went to France and he played every week. He got the man of the match, and that's why in the Russia had to take note of him. Kobus Visser as well. He went to the UK and he played there, and then he was really getting in the performances that made him the man of the match and made sure that he has continuity. Again, this year, he stood up for the Bulls. The Bulls, unfortunately, lost in the final game, but he was one of the standouts. And that's what the management of the Springbok is looking for. They're looking for consistency. Yeah. And if you're consistent, you will be rewarded. And Kobus Visser, he is that guy that's been rewarded, to be in the squad again. And I tell you what, he's a guy also when it gets dark, especially there in the front line, he's the man who also pick up his hand and say, I will get you guys over the line.
Certainly going to be one of the players to impress there tomorrow. Yeah. But when you look at what we saw against the Barbers in terms of the set-piece dominance, Breyton, all the line-outs, we were just taking it. Luteaka playing a pivotal role in as far as that is concerned. Yeah. But when you look at that set-piece dominance and the kind of work that a Tony Brown, his impact on the team's attacking evolution since coming through in 2024, talk to us about that.
Tony Brown is a rugby genius. His intelligence is one of uniqueness. I was very fortunate. I played against Tony Brown, and the other day we had a golf game in Durban, and I got to chat to him again. And that man, when he speaks rugby, he is very calm, and he speaks about things that you like, oh wow, I didn't think it, that way, and that is the mind that a Tony Brown is, and
they say he sees things that most of us do not see.
That most of us wouldn't see, and it's simple things, and that is differentiate that man from the normal guy. I played against Tony Brown, a long time when he was still playing for the Highlanders, and he obviously went with Jamie Joseph to Japan, and I think that's where Rassie saw this guy's got something about him. And I tell you what. Every time when Manie Libbok plays for the Springboks, you will see that Manie is a complete different player because of Tony Brown. Yeah. Tony Brown influence in this team, and I mean, it's just getting started. Tony Brown has brought in that surprise attacking element into this team. And when they play a place like Loftus, where it's altitude and the field is fast, they can afford to be very, very brave in taking the ball to the wider channels. And Tony Brown is that man that has brought that attacking flair to the box. I tell you what, give them another year or so, and the balance will be so good because our set pieces are so good. But Tony Brown is just bringing in that finesse where guys like Sasha Feinberg and Komozulu, Manie Libbok and Andre Pollard and Jesse Kriel can maybe play a little bit more into the channels where teams don't expect you to play. And that is that attacking, surprising element that Tony Brown is bringing to this Bok team. I'm actually worried for the rest of the world because we haven't seen the best of them in that attacking sort of channels, for the Boks.
Now it is 7 minutes before the hour of 7 o'clock. We're still on Power Sport Extra with BBK. I'm still with my brother from another mother, my second, Breyton Paulse, and we are talking about what we anticipate to see happening tomorrow when the Springboks take on the Azzurri, the Italians, in that game, which will be the 17th between the two teams. Now, Breyton, I did invite some calls from people so that it just doesn't become a conversation between the two of us, and one of our listeners, Lucas, has come through from Centurion. Look around. Good evening and welcome to Power Sport Extra, Matala.
Good evening, and our guest there, Breyton Paulse. How are you, my brother? There?
I'm good, Lucas, man. Good to speak to you.
Yes, the class of 2004. Victor Medfield, Bakis Bota, Marius to bed. Ihanyani Singa, my brother, under Jake White.
That was a good team, man. That was a proper team.
That was a good thing. I want to pose some few questions to you, my brother. Ne?
Yes.
The first one is about Newland Stadium.
Yeah.
What's going on with Newland Stadium? Because I see it's neglected.
Yeah, Lucas.
And no one is saying anything, you know.
Yes, no, Lucas, unfortunately,
Yes.
Newland Stadium is no more. Obviously the Stormers went to the new stadium in Cape Town, the Greenpoint Stadium, and Newlands, unfortunately, where I had such a wonderful connection, I had such great memories at Newlands, and unfortunately, it is no more. At the moment, they're looking at what they're going to do with the venue, but sadly, especially for me, I played my whole life at Newlands, and it won't be in use anymore for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, the second one is about the vice captains, you know. The vice captain of the Springbok is Eden Ezelbert, you know?
Yes.
And now I see Jesse Kriel. Jesse Kriel is going to take over as a captain. I don't know, because if you are a captain, if you are not there, the vice captain must take over.
Yes.
I don't know what's happening about that, the vice captains. And another question is about the new kids on the block in Tabanyani. You remember, Ntabanyane, I think.
Asenati in Tabakanye. Yeah.
In Tabakanye, yes. What's your comment? That
man is going to hurt a lot of people. Okay, so let me first get to your first question. Yeah, the Boks got such a great leadership group. I mean, you can look at Peter Step, the tour. You can look at a guy like Ivan Etzebeth. You can look at Jesse Kriel. Andre Pollard, instance, also a vice captain. So, it's a moment for the Boks when Sia is not playing, it doesn't matter who the captain is. It can be Sia. I mean, it can be Peter Step the tour. It can be Andre Pollard. It can be Ivan Etzebeth, or it can be Jesse Kriel. So, I'm not too worried about that title. But Asenati in Tabakanya had the most wonderful 3 months. And again, the innovative ways of Rassie Erasmus, who sent him to Dan Nieman's farm to go and do extra sessions. I mean, Asenati lost 18 kilograms in 3 months. That's amazing. So the guy he's still doing his job, but he's now very active in terms of, his fitness. He is so fit now. He can play 80 minutes now. Back in the day, he could only play 60 minutes. But now, he is so mobile because he is so much fitter. And that is just amazing to see that Asenati, he took his time last week, and he got into the game, and he started to find sort of that, that oomph where he needs to do scrum well, and he dominated the opposition. So I see a great future for Asenati, and if he plays like that, I think one of the bigger unions would want to buy him soon.
You think in terms of the coach, are we still going to get the coach like Rassie Erasmus, who can produce such a miracle? This guy, whoever he brought him in, I mean, he's fitting in his plan properly. And another thing, about Asenati, you think they compete against the guys like Franco Malherbe? It's tough there. And that position that he's playing, many people we don't identify, because if you watch rugby properly, you need to identify the positions and the roles that the players are playing. Some of the people we just looking at the flanks, the wings, the fly half, the tight prop, loose prop. Those are key positions.
All right.
Yeah. So, but thanks for chatting to you, Breyton.
Thank you, my brother.
You having that memory of one of the Springbok fans invading the pitch.
All right, Lucas, thank you. Thanks a lot, man. Thanks a lot for coming through. A man who certainly knows and loves and enjoys his rugby. Now, Breyton, as we round it off, there's also a small matter of a man called Jan Hendrik Wessels. Yeah. He's been one of the star performers in the URC. His prop. Rassie talks about making sure that he expands and making sure that we have these younger players playing. He's only got 3 caps. We are building, of course, so what is going to be a climax when we get to Australia for the defense of this Rugby World Cup of ours. When you look at him and the things that he brings to the table, he's such an exceptional talent amongst the current crop of the young ones. By the time we get to Australia, we'll be hoping there will be at least in a minimum of 15 caps.
Yes. You want that experience, and it's very important that guys like Jan Wessels, they play often or get game time often off the bench or whether they're starting. So for me, I think Rassie identified him also as a player who's got a big future ahead of him. And at the moment, he's doing so well. His versatility is a real positive in the Springbok setup because he can play hooker and he can play prop.
Mm-hmm.
But again, Dan Heeman also got hold of him, the scrum doctor, and he's also very fit at the moment. But like you said, he was so consistent for the Bulls as well, during the course of the URC season. And rightly so, BBK, he is a man who's going to play a lot of tests for South Africa.
And finally, tell me, what's the secret with Dan Heeman? What happens there by the farm? Because I've been ox in chair, He says he's never been to the farm. And I think given the amount of cake that ox eats, maybe he needs to also go spend some time with Dan. But quickly, Breyton, what is it? What's the magic in that farm?
That man eats, sleeps, drinks crumbs. BBK. There's nothing else. When I see him as well, he's like, wait, you must come scrum. It will your claim mark.
Sure.
He's very passionate about scrum, and that's why we call him the scrum doctor. And as long as Dan Heeman is there, the opposition people will have fear in their eyes any given time because he does a lot of unique training methods with the Springbok front rowers. And it's really a scary thought when I think about it. I don't want to get into a scrum with the Springboks. Let me tell you that, BBK. But Dan Heeman, he is a national asset, and may he don't continue.
This man played 64 tests for South Africa between 1999 and 2007. Breyton Paulse scored 26 tries and 130 points for the men in green and gold and played 80 appearances for Western Province. Pity about Newlands Stadium, my brother, but always a pleasure talking to you. This is the first of many conversations that you and I are going to have right here on Power Sport Extra, right?
Thank you so much, my brother. Thanks for having me, and have a good weekend.
You too, man.